Ben and I had been best friends since kindergarten. We'd seen each other through everything: bad haircuts, first crushes, family drama. So, when he called me up in September 2019, after nearly 6 months of radio silence, I was more relieved than anything. He'd been going through a rough patch, he'd said vaguely last time we spoke, and needed some space. I'd given it to him, though it worried me. "Maya, hey." His voice crackled over the line, thinner than I remembered. "Long time. You free to come over Saturday? My new place. Got something important I want to show you." His new place turned out to be a cramped, slightly grimy apartment on the outskirts of town, in one of those monolithic concrete buildings that always looked perpetually damp. The date was September 21st, a gray, drizzly Saturday that perfectly matched the building's depressing vibe. When Ben opened the door, I almost didn't recognize him. He'd lost a lot of weight. His eyes were bloodshot and darted around nervously, and his usual easy smile was replaced by a tight, strained expression. His clothes hung off him. "Hey," I said, trying to keep the shock out of my voice. "Good to see you, man. Place looks cozy." It didn't. It was sparsely furnished, with a stained mattress on the floor in one corner and a single folding chair. The air was thick with the smell of stale coffee and something else, something faintly chemical I couldn't place. The only truly personal touches were a series of intricate, unsettling drawings taped to the walls. They were geometric, almost like circuit boards, but with shapes that seemed to writhe and shift if you looked at them too long. "Yeah, it's temporary," Ben mumbled, not meeting my eyes. He gestured vaguely. "Drink?" I shook my head. "I'm good." "So, what's this important thing you wanted to show me?" He paced the small room for a moment, running a hand through his already disheveled hair. "It's hard to explain, Maya. It's something I've discovered. Something most people can't see, or don't want to see." My unease grew. This wasn't the Ben I knew. The old Ben was a pragmatist, a bit of a skeptic. This new Ben sounded unhinged. "Okay," I said carefully. "Try me." He stopped pacing and fixed me with an intense stare. "They're watching us, Maya. All of us. Through the screens, through the reflections. They manipulate things. Little things at first, then bigger. They're shaping us." "They?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. "Who's they?" Ben let out a short, harsh laugh. "That's what everyone asks. Like giving them a name makes them less real." He gestured to the drawings on the wall. "These are maps, patterns, ways to see their influence." He stepped closer, his voice dropping. I think they've been getting to me, trying to stop me from figuring it out." My heart sank. This was worse than I thought. "Ben," I started, trying to keep my tone gentle. "Have you talked to anyone about this? A doctor, maybe?" His eyes narrowed. "You think I'm crazy?" It wasn't a question. "That's what they want you to think. They got to my parents. They got to my old landlord. That's why I had to move here, somewhere off their grid." He grabbed my arm, his grip surprisingly strong. "But you, Maya, you've always been smart. You can see it. I know you can." His breath was hot and smelled faintly sour. I tried to pull my arm away, but he held fast. "Ben, you're scaring me." "Good," he exclaimed, his eyes lighting up with a feverish glee. "Fear is a sign you're close to the truth. Don't you see? They use comfort and routine to keep us blind." He dragged me towards the single grimy window that overlooked a bleak courtyard. "Look," he pointed a trembling finger. "Sometimes, if you look at the right time, in the right way, you can see them. Just a flicker. In the other windows, a reflection that isn't yours." I stared out at the rows of identical dark windows across the courtyard. Rain streaked down the glass. I saw nothing but my own pale, worried face reflected back. "Ben, there's nothing there." "You're not looking hard enough," he insisted, his voice rising to a desperate pitch. His face was inches from mine. "They know you're here with me. They might try to use you to get to me. Or maybe they sent you." The sudden shift in his tone, the suspicion that flashed in his eyes, sent a genuine bolt of fear through me. This wasn't just a friend having a breakdown. This felt dangerous. "Ben," That's ridiculous, I said, trying to sound firm. I'm your friend. I'm worried about you. Are you? He sneered, his grip tightening on my arm. Or are you here to report back, to tell them what I know? I had to get out. Ben, let go of my arm. You're hurting me. For a moment, something flickered in his eyes. A trace of the old Ben. A hint of confusion. Maybe even remorse. His grip loosened slightly. I seized the opportunity. Look, I need to use the bathroom, I stammered, pulling my arm free. He hesitated, then nodded slowly. Okay. But be quick. We need to make a plan. The bathroom was tiny and even grimmer than the main room. I locked the door, my hands shaking, and pulled out my phone. My fingers fumbled as I tried to text my brother anything, just to let someone know where I was and that something was very wrong. No signal. Of course. I took a deep breath. I couldn't stay in here. I had to face him, try to leave. When I came out, Ben was standing by the window again, his back to me. He was very still. Ben? I said softly. He didn't turn. I see one, he whispered. His voice was eerily calm. In the window opposite. 3rd floor, second from the left. It's watching us. I glanced at the window he indicated, just a dark square like all the others. But as I looked, my blood ran cold. For the briefest of instants, I thought I saw it too. A shape, a pale face, indistinct, featureless, pressed against the glass from the inside, looking right back. I blinked, and it was gone. Just the dark window. Was it a trick of the light? My own fear projecting? Or... You saw it, didn't you? Ben said without turning. His voice was flat, devoid of emotion. I don't know what I saw, Ben, I said, my voice trembling. But I need to go. It's getting late. He turned then, slowly. His face was pale, and his eyes seemed to have sunk further into his skull. He held something in his hand. A small, sharp-looking piece of metal, maybe a letter opener or a shard of glass. You can't leave, Maya, he said, his voice still quiet, but with an underlying thrum of menace. If you leave, they'll know you're with me. They'll come for you too. Or worse, you'll bring them here. He took a step towards me. The only way to be safe is to stay, to join me, to see. My mind raced. Argue? Plead? Run? The door was only a few feet away. Ben, I said, trying to keep my voice steady, trying to project a calm I didn't feel. What if they are already here, in this room? What if I'm one of them, and I've been sent to trick you? It was a wild gamble, born of sheer panic. He stopped. His eyes, which had been fixed on me with a predatory gleam, now flickered with uncertainty. He looked from me to the window, then back to me. The piece of metal in his hand wavered. You wouldn't, he stammered. Wouldn't I said, taking a small step back towards the door. How can you be sure? That flicker of doubt was all I needed. I turned and bolted. I fumbled with the cheap lock on his apartment door, expecting him to grab me any second. It clicked open, and I threw myself into the hallway, not looking back, sprinting for the stairs, for the exit, for the rainy street outside. I never saw Ben again. I called his family, tried to get him help, but he disappeared. Sometimes, late at night, especially when it's raining, I find myself staring out my own window, half expecting to see a pale, featureless face looking back. And I always wonder if Ben was right, in some terrifying way I couldn't comprehend, or if I just saw a reflection of my own fear in that grimy window on that awful September day. The uncertainty is a cold knot that never quite dissolves. Story 2. It's funny the things that stick with you from childhood. Not the big, obvious traumas, but the quiet, unsettling moments that worm their way into your memory and just stay. For me, one of those is the night of May 16, 2005. I was 12, and at my best friend Chloe's house for a sleepover. Pretty standard stuff. Pizza, video games, staying up way too late. Her parents, Mr. and Mrs. Henderson, were out for the evening at some charity dinner, leaving us to our own devices. Chloe was always a bit quirky. That's what I liked about her. She wasn't into the same pop music or fashion as the other girls. She liked weird documentaries, old books, and inventing elaborate secret codes. Usually, it was harmless fun. That night, though, things took a turn. Around 10 p.m., after we'd exhausted our supply of cheesy horror movies, the kind with more bad acting than actual scares, Chloe got this strange look in her eye. It was a look I'd seen before, usually when she was about to unveil some new, overly complicated game or idea. "Liam," she said, her voice a little too hushed. "I've been working on something. A new kind of code, but it's not for writing." "Down." I was intrigued. "Oh yeah? What is it then?" She leaned closer, her blonde hair falling across her face. The only light in her room came from the lava lamp on her desk, casting shifting, oily shadows on the walls. "It's a people code. You have to become the message." I must have looked confused, because she smiled. A tight, thin smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. "I call it the echo. One person thinks of a secret, a really deep one, and then they act it out, but super subtly. The other person has to guess what the secret is, not by what they do, but by the feeling they give off." It sounded a bit lame, to be honest, but Chloe was so intense about it. "Okay," I said, trying to sound enthusiastic. "You go first." "No," she said, her eyes fixed on me. You think of something you've never told anyone, something you're a little bit ashamed of or scared of." The way she said it, her voice dropping almost to a whisper, made a shiver run down my spine. Suddenly, the room felt colder. I tried to think of something trivial, like the time I'd accidentally broken her mom's favorite mug and blamed it on the cat. But Chloe seemed to sense my hesitation. "No, Liam, deeper. Something real." I swallowed, a knot forming in my stomach. "Okay, fine." I thought about how, a few weeks earlier, I'd found my dad's old journal from when he was a teenager. And I'd read a few pages even though I knew I shouldn't. It wasn't a huge, terrible secret, but it felt private, and I did feel guilty. "Okay. Got one," I said. Chloe nodded slowly. "Good. Now, just be, and I'll listen." She closed her eyes. The room was dead silent except for the hum of the lava lamp. I just sat there on her fluffy pink rug, feeling increasingly awkward. What was I supposed to do? I fidgeted, looked around her room, at the posters of obscure bands, the shelves crammed with books. After a minute, which felt like an hour, Chloe's eyes snapped open. They looked different, darker somehow, and her expression was one I'd never seen on her face before. It was a strange mix of knowing and something else. Something cold. "You found something," she said, her voice flat. "Something you weren't supposed to see. It was hidden away in a place you go to be alone. Words. Someone else's words. And you felt a thrill, but also like you'd crossed a line." My jaw dropped. I hadn't moved, hadn't said a word. How could she possibly? How did you know that? Her smile returned, but it was wider this time, and it made my skin crawl. "The echo, Liam. I told you. I can feel it." She leaned forward, her hands clasped in her lap. "It's my turn now." I really didn't want to play anymore. A sick feeling was churning in my gut. "Chloe, maybe we should just watch another movie." "No," she said, and her voice had a new edge to it, a sharpness that was almost a command. "My turn." She closed her eyes again. The silence stretched. Thicker this time, more oppressive. I watched her, a knot of dread tightening in my chest. Her face was pale in the dim light, her expression completely blank. It was like she wasn't even there. Then, her eyelids fluttered. She started to make these tiny, almost imperceptible movements. A slight twitch of her fingers, a slow turn of her head, as if listening to something I couldn't hear. A faint, almost inaudible humming sound started to emanate from her, so low I wasn't sure if I was imagining it. It wasn't a tune, just a vibration. The air in the room grew heavy, charged. I felt like I couldn't breathe properly. My heart was hammering. What was her secret? What was she being? Suddenly, her eyes snapped open, and they were locked onto mine. They were wide, unblinking, and filled with an intensity that was utterly terrifying. She didn't say anything, she just stared, and in that stare I felt a coldness, a predatory stillness, like a spider watching a fly. "Chloe?" I whispered, my voice trembling. She rose slowly, fluidly, to her feet. She took a step towards me, then another. The strange humming was a bit louder now, and I could feel it in my teeth. "I know all your little secrets, Liam," she breathed, her voice raspy, completely unlike her own. "I know where you hide your candy. I know you're scared of the dark even though you pretend you're not. I know about the journal." Her smile was a rictus. "And I know things you haven't even done yet." This wasn't Chloe. It couldn't be. I scrambled backwards, hitting the edge of her bed. "Stop it, Chloe! You're scaring me!" "Good," she hissed, taking another step. Her hands were slightly curled like claws. Fear makes the echo stronger. I had to get out. I fumbled for my phone, my fingers clumsy with panic. "I'm calling my mom." Chloe laughed, a dry, rattling sound. "She can't hear you from here. No one can." She was so close now I could smell her breath. It was strangely metallic, like old pennies. "We're just starting to play, Liam." Her eyes flickered towards the bedroom door, then back to me. A flicker of something calculating. "You can't leave until the game is over." That was it. I lunged for the door, yanking it open. Chloe didn't try to stop me physically, but as I stumbled out into the hallway, her voice followed me, no longer a hiss, but a clear, chillingly calm statement. "You can run, Liam, but I'll always know where you are." I didn't stop running until I was home, bursting through my own front door, gasping for breath, tears streaming down my face. My parents were home, thankfully, and I blurted out a garbled story about Chloe, acting weird, about being scared. They called Mrs. Henderson, who apologized, saying Chloe had maybe just gotten a bit carried away trying to spook me. I never had another sleepover at Chloe's. Our friendship fizzled out after that. We'd see each other at school, and she'd give me that same knowing, unsettling smile, but we never talked about that night. Years later, as an adult, I still get a cold feeling when I think about it. Was it just an elaborate prank? A kid with an overactive imagination and a cruel streak? Or was there something else to the echo? I don't know. But sometimes, when I'm alone, and I think I'm being watched, I hear that faint, low humming, and I can't shake the feeling that Chloe somehow still knows.